In this episode, I will show you how you can make this nice hearts particle effect to celebrate the Valentine's Day. Let's create a new playground. I'll call mine Love Emitter. And let's start by creating a class canvas, which will be a subclass of UI view. And let's set its frame with a convenience unit. And let's set the width and height to be 500. Also, let's set a nice background color. And in order to see this view, we need to import playground support and set the playground page current live view to be our canvas. Let's run our playground and activate the live view. Nice. Now let's focus on the heart particle. Add a property particle, which will be an instance of heart particle. But of course we haven't created a heart particle, so let's do it now. Let's create a new file. Let's call it heart particle. Let's import UI kit and write a public class heart particle, which will be a subclass of CAEmitterCell. Let's override the initializer. Let's implement the required initializer and let's create this setup method and call it in the init. In the setup method, I'm using these values that I happen to like, but if you want to change any of these values, feel free to play around. If you want to know more about any of these properties, you just have to click Option and select the property, and you can see a nice summary that explains you in detail what does this property do. As you can see, we are setting the contents to an UI image named Heart, but we don't have that image yet. So let's add it to our resources folder. And that's it for our heart particle. Let's go back to our canvas. Now we need to create a particle emitter. We can use a factory method. This method will return an CAEmitterLayer. Let's set the emitter shape to be a point and the render mode to be additive. Again, you can experiment with the other values of these properties to see what effect do you get. And finally, we need to add a pan gesture recognizer, and we can also use a factory method for that. We need an instance of UI pan gesture recognizer. Let's add a target to be this canvas view, and for the action let's add a method handle gesture that we haven't created yet, and let's return the gesture. Now let's create our handle gesture function. This needs to be marked as an Objective-C function for the target action pattern. This function will receive our gesture recognizer with the sender parameter. And here we need to set the emitter position to be the same as the sender location in this canvas. We need to check if this sender state is ended. And if that's the case, we need to set the particle emitter lifetime to be 0. And also we need to check if the sender state has begun. We need to emit the particles and set the particle emitter lifetime to be 1. Now let's create this emit particles method. And in this method, we will set our hard particle to our emitter. And finally, let's add our emitter to our layer. Let's add the gesture recognizer to our view. Let's create a function setup UI, and here we can add our pan gesture recognizer. Also, let's move this background color configuration, and let's take a look of the result. Nice! Happy Valentine's Day!